Back with breaking news on the war in Iran and uncertainty over the status of the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. Central Command says the strait is open with traffic flowing, but Iran state media reports they closed it again over Israel's refusal to end hostilities in Lebanon. The president on social media today focusing on the 2015 JCPOA, which he previously said he tore up.
We're not paying the Iranians to mothball their nuclear program. They have agreed fully and in writing and signed it that they will not ever have a nuclear weapon. And I think that that's the biggest thing. Again, you're seeing a total change in leadership. But when you had, well, it wasn't signed and it wasn't in writing and it wasn't codified by the United Nations.
Joining me now, Michael McFaul, MS Now International Affairs analyst and former U.S. ambassador to Russia. All right, my friend, by the way, it was signed and codified. Yes. This is the UN resolution. So what message are Trump and Republicans trying to send today by referencing the torn up JCPOA?
Disinformation. I'm trying to think of a more diplomatic word, but the way they talk about what has been accomplished in this memorandum of understanding compared to the JCPOA is complete nonsense. It's just not true. It's right in the preamble that Iran reiterates commitment to not developing a nuclear weapon. Second, everyone needs to be crystal clear that what President Trump signed a few days ago is a ceasefire agreement to open the Strait of Hormuz. It says nothing about control on nuclear enrichment or nuclear weapons or missiles or support for terrorism, let alone supporting democratic change in Iran, all the goals that they've been talking about for 3 months. All it does, and it's not working yet, as you just reported, is to open up a strait that was open before they started this war. And to get them to do that, we couldn't achieve that militarily. Our U.S. Navy couldn't do it. Our Air Force couldn't do it because of their drones. They have the ability to control that strait. So we had to pledge to give them hundreds of billions of dollars, orders of magnitude more than the JCPOA transferred to the Iranians to give up their nuclear program.
100%. And that is an aspect of the MOU that is drawing criticism, this proposal to unfreeze Iranian assets. But here's how Trump himself has shifted on some of the key issues. Watch this.
We're not talking about any easing of sanctions or giving money, no sanctions, no money, no nothing. It's not our money, it's their money. And we froze it. At a certain point in time, I guess we're going to have to give it back.
We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground.
I mean, they have to have some because other people have some. You got to have some.
Can they keep their highly enriched uranium?
No, we'll probably destroy it after we get it, but we're not going to let them have it. You could make the case, why are you even bothering? Because it's not really valuable. They're really sinister, sick people. I think they're smarter. I think they're very smart.
Well, whiplash, anyone? So we could extend this further, like to his original stated goal of regime change. Is he moving the goalpost when he misses critical goals, or is there something else at play?
First of all, that was a fantastic clip. Whoever put that together, thank you. Because we sometimes forget what happens 2 months ago. We just forget and we move on. And he just floods the zone with his information, with his interpretation. I'm the first president that will deny them a nuclear weapon. Thank you for your producers to put that together. I think he's just given up. Honestly, I think this is just capitulation. He realizes he's in a difficult situation. He needs to open up the strait to reduce energy prices here in the United States. Everywhere he travels in the world, he hears from leaders of the economic strain. And I just think he's just quitting. I hope that they achieve results, but I've seen that before. If you all remember, Trump won. The first Trump administration announced a big deal with China, phase one. It was actually a very minor deal. And then phase two was going to be all the great things for the American economy, for our farmers, for our workers. Phase two was pledged, never happened. I fear we're going to see a similar thing in these negotiations.
So Trump said in an interview with Axios this week that he has lost respect for some of his critics. And I'm going to thank in advance my producer, Sherry, whom you applauded, and I do too, for bringing us this as well. Let's play that.
The only way I can get tougher is if I go in there for another 2 or 3 weeks and continue to bomb the hell out of them, right? But what does that get us? The Strait of Hormuz will not be open.
Is he staring down the reality of the difficulty involved in diplomacy?
Yes, I think that's a great point. Number two, I think, well, he's not a very reflective guy, but maybe others will reflect that bombing him the first time didn't achieve anything else, right? I think everybody needs to remember that. We did not need to go to war with Iran to achieve the denial of Iran of nuclear weapons. And now we're worse off, not better off, as a result of this war. So extending it, I applaud him. If you're digging in a ditch, stop digging. That's an important achievement. But we never need to go to war in the first place. But I think your point is a really important one. President Trump is he loves coercion. He loves to bully people, including our allies. He thinks of that as the only tactic. He's not very good at other means of diplomacy. And when you think about his dealings with China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, all these autocrats, he's failed to deliver the things that he wanted to achieve. And when he uses these bully tactics with our allies, he just makes enemies out of all of them and becomes very isolated. So I hope they'll learn the lesson. Yes, coercive diplomacy sometimes needs to be a part of your arsenal, but there are other mechanisms of diplomacy that work as well.
Well, speaking of allies, Trump today is doubling down on claims that Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni begged him for a photo at the G7 summit, even after she claimed he completely made up that story. So, Ambassador, this is a European leader. It is not some random Trump fan. He has since explained he's upset over her refusal to support his war against Iran, but I don't know how that relates to flat out lying that she begged him about something. Why does he think this is the most effective way to lash out?
I have no idea. I want to be honest with you. This is so silly. This is so ridiculous. Making up a story. And let's be clear, Prime Minister Meloni, a year and a half ago, if we were talking, was one of his most ardent supporters in Europe. This is not, this is somebody, in terms of, populist nationalists and right of center, this is somebody ideologically much closer to President Trump than a lot of other European leaders. But she's also not a pushover. She's also not going to be insulted the way she was. And yet again, he's blowing up another bilateral relationship that does not serve the interests of the American people. And that's the other thing I want to emphasize. He personalizes everything. It's always about President Trump. And that's not what diplomacy is about. That is not what being the president is about. That's not what being the commander in chief is about. Your job is to advance the interests, security interests, prosperity interests of the American people. This does not do that.
Amen to that. Ambassador Michael McFaul, it's good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you.